our legislature. So this all type of surroundings is related to politics, political science we can say. But political science is that we read in this all this politics in this subject, that is political science. As we are here for the political theory, we will discuss about the world politics. What is this world politics? So now we are starting this world politics. As from the starting, we will come to know about the introduction. That what is the introduction of politics? That from starting of anything, we want to give the brief structure, brief introduction, brief summary of the word that is politics. So we are now here giving this word politics. That is the main objective of this unit is to understand the concept of political. The essence of political is the quest for bringing about an order that men consider good. The term politics is derived from the Greek word polis, meaning by this city and state. As we are here now, we are starting this word politics. So politics is a word that men consider good, because this is a quest for bringing about an order that men consider good, because everything is based on followingness, order. That what we are doing here, everybody is following the orders. So order is that means that kept the surroundings in a management, in a managing way. Every order gives to everybody, gives the society a managing system. How the system will manage, it will be accordingly to the that we are following to each and everybody's orders. So this is the word, that quest for bringing about an order that when consider good, because everybody seeks that this order and this followingness will be good for them. So this order gives them satisfaction, so they do that. The term politics is derived from the Greek word. Greek word, as you know, because polis, Aristotle and Socrates and we can say Plato, these all thinkers have remained from that area, remain from that country. So this word politics is derived from city and state. Politics is derived from city and state. Politics among the ancient Greek was a new way of thinking. Firstly, we have to think about, we have to understand this sense, the ideas of new way of thinking. Why? This is the main thing, what they think about, because they have got developed at that time. They have every type of knowledge and every type of surroundings and things, and I think they have sufficient a prosperous life. So when a prosperous life and everything, but at the other hand, the we can say the our managing system, our political system was not good. So this is the reason that ancient Greek was a new way of thinking. They have started a new way of thinking, feeling and above all being related to one's fellows. As citizens, they all are equal. They were equal, although the citizens varied in positions in terms of their wealth, intelligence, etc. Because of, if we say, as citizens, they all were equal. Although the citizens varied in positions in terms of their wealth and intelligence, but the Greek person has treated as an equal person because they believes in the equality. Politics is the activity specific to this new thing called a citizen. A science of politics is possible because politics itself follows regular patterns, even though it is at the mercy of the human nature from which it arises. Greek political studies dealt with the constitution and made generalizations about the relations between human nature and political associations. Tyrannies are overthrown by aristocracies which degenerate into oligarchies, exploiting the population, which are overthrown by democracies, which in turn degenerate into the intolerable instability of mob rule, whereupon some powerful leader established himself as a monarch in the cycle begins all over again. As we have seen here that what was happening in the Greek culture. Greek political studies, what they were thinking, what were their new ideas, what was they were suffering about that, what the political association was doing, what the aristocracies was doing, and what tyrannies are overthrown by aristocracies. Politics itself follow regular pattern. So these are the things that has make them insensible that what we have to do for the further upliftment of the Greek culture. We say the politics is the activity specific to this new thing called a citizen, because everything is based on upon the betterment of a citizen, because of everything is based on citizen. Politics as a practical activity, this is true, because politics, we can say, it's not a theory as we have written here and it will be end. No, this politics always remain in a practicality. We observe, we can see, we can do, and we can act on the practical activity. So every type of politics is based on and is related on a practical activity. Politics as a practical activity is the discourses and the struggle over organization of human possibilities. As such, it is about power. This is to say, it is about the capacity of social agents. Dear students, you have to think about, you have to see about that main headings is there, that what is the working of political activity, what uh, politics do according every type of work and organization that they can do in a practical activity. So this is the that we can say here, political activity is a discourse and the struggle over organization of human possibilities, and it is about power, we can say here, it is also good, and it is about the capacity of social agents, agencies and institutions to maintain to or transform the environment, social and physical. It is about the resources which underpin the capacity and about the forces that shape and influence its exercise. Accordingly, politics is a phenomenon found in all groups, institutions, and societies, cutting across private and public life. Because if we can say, we have given very good here, all of these, this para is very good for understanding that politics as a practical activity. We can say we can say here it is about the capacity of social agents, it is the capacity of agents and institution to maintain or transfer the environment, social and physical. It is about the resources which underpin this capacity. Accordingly, politics is a phenomenon found in all groups, institutions and societies, cutting across private and public life. Because politics is a phenomenon. Politics does not make any differences about the private and public life. And institutions and societies and groups and organizations. This is all about that they have that the politics cover, that is related to that how they have to do, how they have to work the practical activity. So this is all about the we can say study area, field area, that they have to make the study about all these sectors. It is expressed in all the relations. This is all thing that politics, we can see that it is expressed in all the relations, institutions and structures. Dear students, can you think that is any area that we can't see the politics is not working here, politics is not active here? If you think that in our surrounding there is any area, any field, any organization, any resources, anything that you think that the politics is not working here, so think about this. You will think about and you will finalize, you will get to know that there is no any area that is not related with the politics, because if we think about family, there is related the politics there. And if we think about organization, politics also works here. If we think about the judiciary system, executive, and all of the organization, the politics works there, because all of the we can say public policy norms that is related to, and that is the controlled by the political leaders. So this is all about that the politics is remain mixed in all of the workings of the citizens in every type of organization that is related in a society. It is expressed in all the relations, institutions, and structures that are implicated in the production and reproduction of the life of the society. Politics creates and conditions all aspects of our lives, and it is at the core of the development of collective problems and modes of their resolutions also. What we are saying here, what we want to tell you, what I want to tell you here, that politics create and conditions all aspects of our lives. Firstly, creates all the conditions for our lives, and they tell the resolutions also, what will be the resolution to solve all of the collective problems that we can do the development and progress in the society. So this is all about that the politics what do in a active form. Politics involves reconciling such differences through discussion and persuasion. What we say here, that reconciling such differences through discussion and persuasion, because these are related to the differences, that is the politics. This is about the discussion and persuasion, that somebody does, some organization does not want to obey the rules of that the political leaders has given, but they have to, but role of politics should be there, that they have to make the confirmation that all of the institutions will be agreed to persuade all of the decision that has the leaders and the we can say government has declared. So communication is therefore central to politics. Political decisions became authoritative policy for a group, binding members to decisions that are implemented by force. There is thing that political decisions become authoritative policy, because authority has given the political decisions, so they have, every member of the society has to follow, to implement the decisions forcefully, otherwise as usual necessarily. So decisions of authoritative persons, yeah, authoritative policies should be forcefully implemented, otherwise implemented to the members of the society, of the organization, that can be a big decision. Sometimes happens that a good decision, we can say good, not now here, a decision that can be helpful to the one group, and that decisions is also not in the favor of the second group. So what we have to think about, we have to, that if a good administrator want to work, he has to think about the future. What will be that this decision will be useful in the future or not for the both group. After that, they make the decisions. Present is also considerable, but future, how much considerable, that is main thing they have to think. So it is a main thing that implemented by force, implemented. So this is all about necessary aspect. Politics scarcely exists if decisions are reached solely by violence, force, or use of threat, undermining the process of reaching of a collective decision. This is all about I have discussed here. Politics secretly exist if decisions are reached solely by violence, force, or use of threat. This is all about they have to act upon for process of reaching a collective decision. The necessity of politics arises from the collective character of human life. We live in a group that must reach collective decisions about sharing resources, about relating to other groups, and about planning for the future. So, this is thing that necessity of politics arises from the collective character of human life. We live in a group because this is true that we live in a society, and society is considered as a group, and all of the decisions should reach collectively. But what they do that they sharing the resources, and about all of the groups they relate with the planning of the future. So every type of collective decision is based on the planning for the future. As now politics an inescapable feature of the human condition. Here that if we think politics, we have no any we doesn't want the politics in our surroundings. Think about this. We doesn't want that the politics will work and act upon our life. What will happen? Can it be possible? No, it cannot be possible because politics is all around, and we can't remain without the politics. So, although the term politics is often used to criticize the pursuit of private advantages under the guise of public interest, most probably this politics were used for the private advantage and the under the guise of public interest. Politics, in fact, an escapable feature of the human condition. Indeed, the Greek philosopher Aristotle argued that man is by nature a political animal. By this, he means not just the politics is unavoidable, but rather that it is the essential human activity. Political engagement is the feature which most sharply separates us from other species. For Aristotle, people can only express their true nature as reasoning, virtuous being through participation in a political community. By nature, a political animal. We have to focus on this. Why he has given this statement. By nature, man is a political animal. Why? Because of in Greek philosophies, we can see Aristotle has given this. What he thinks about this? Because we all are surrounded by the politics, and we can't avoid that. What the politics do for us, that is the essential human activity. Think about that. If our society has a drainage problem, who will solve all these problems? Who will order to solve this problem? And who will give the justice if this problem doesn't be clear? And who is responsible that if this problem is not clear, is not solved? This all of the answers has related with the politics. Because of we elect a person, we elect a person that will look after, control, manage, order, and give a decision also, and who will also give the punishment if the problem is not solved. So all of these fact is related to politics. This in these reasons, that is the reason main that politics is unavoidable aspects in our life. People can only express their true nature as reasoning, virtuous beings through participation in a political community. Now, what is politics? My dear students, as you all of I think about that why this word politics is come in our life in our studies many and more times. So if you think about this lecture from the starting, you will get more and more idea about that what is politics is related to us, why it is necessary for us, why we can't avoid this. So now we are telling us in another ways. I have given, I think there is 6 to 7 ways I have given a clear picture that what is politics. Everybody has, yes, has some idea about the meaning of the term politics. To some people, the question may even appear quite superfluous. Politics is what one reads about in the papers or watches on television. There are some group that is think about that who reads the newspaper and who remain on the television for seeing all of the aspects of politics. It deals with the activities of the politicians, notably the leaders of political parties. What is politics all about? Because in a society, a group always remain chattering, discussing, explaining, and we can say advising, counseling about what the politics, what this leader has to do, what this leader has not to do. When the elections comes, everybody has remained the person that they knows more and more. No doubt they know more and more, but these groups related with the politics, indirectly relate with the politics. What they are doing, they are giving the discussion related to the politics because they have got the knowledge about that what should be done, what should be happen, and they have got the idea that what the political parties has to be work according to the welfare of the society, give the suggestions. If we think that there are many discussions channels has fully, we can say, fully make a practice of discussing about the political parties, opposed and existing party, and many persons that are invited for the discussion. Most of the persons fights on their aspects, religious aspects, and we can say policy and decisions that are not in favor. They also discuss on that. So this is about that the political parties do for that. What is politics all about? Why precisely all are these activities political, and what define the nature of politics? If one start with the definition posed in terms of the activities of politicians, one might say that politics concern the rivalries of politicians in their struggle for power. Now we are getting an eye here that why precisely are these activities political, and what defines the nature of politics? If one start with the definition posed in terms of the activities of politicians, one might say that politics concern the rivalries of politicians in their struggle of power. This is also a good sign. Max Weber, in his famous lecture of 1918, Politics as a vocation, started by proposing that the concept of politics was extremely broad based and comprise any kind of independent leadership in action. We can see that Max Weber is a very good thinker in public administration, and what he think about. in 1918, politics as a vocation. He proposed the concept of politics extremely broad based and compromises any kind of independent leadership in action. In whatever contest such leadership in action exists, politics is present. In our terms, political would include any situation where power relations exist, where people were constrained or dominated or subject to authority of one kind or another. It will also include situations where people were constrained by a set of structure or institutions rather than by the subjective will of persons. Now we want to say that there is a dominated or subject to authority of one kind or another. It would also include situations where people were constrained by a set of structure or institutions rather than by the subjective will of the persons. Such a broad definition has the advantage of showing that politics is not necessarily a matter of government, nor solely concerned with the activities of politicians. The Greek city state is clearly different from the modern nation state. As we have the nation state definition and we think and we observe which type of nation state now, the Greek city state is clearly different from the modern nation state, which has dominated world politics since the French Revolution. Until the French Revolution, the Greek city state has a good sense of nation state definition and they have dominated world politics. The contemporary liberal democratic state. What they have given? The contemporary liberal democratic state. This is a huge word. This is very important word. Contemporary liberal democratic state. Liberal is also a contemporary liberal and democratic state, which exists in Britain and Western Europe. Is different from the fascist type state of Hitler and Mussolini. It is also different from the state which existed in the former USSR and in Eastern Europe. An important part of the study of the politics, and certainly an integral element of this book, is the explanation of what is meant by those terms. The purpose is to show how each from distinguish itself from the other and what the significance of such distinction is. As we are taken here discussion about the that Greek city state has a very dominated world politics, and they until the French Revolution they have a very good sense of we can say politics concept that is the contemporary liberal democratic state, and this contemporary liberal democratic state exists in Britain and Western Europe. And this is different from the fascist type state, Hitler and Mussolini, and this is doesn't exist in the former USSR also, and Eastern Europe also. And it has a difference from all these. States differ in terms of their political institutions as well as in terms of the social contest within which they are situated and which they try to maintain. Now here we are going to start with the states. State differs in the term of their political institutions as well as in terms of the social contest. Because we have given the terms related to the politics, now politics is related with the state. So state here, now we are going to start with the states. What is the role of state in the, we can say, politics? States differ in terms of their political institutions as well as in terms of the social context which within which they are situated and which they are trying to maintain. So, while the liberal democratic state is characterized by representative institutions such as parliament and independent judiciary, the leader controls the fascist state. Yes, here, because of if there is a liberal democratic state and the representative institutions are there and the parliament and independent judiciary is working accordingly to control the fascist state. The state has the different here the in terms of their political institutions and in the social contest. They want to maintain all of the facts that is related to all. With respect to the social contest, the crucial contrast is between Western and Soviet type statement systems insofar as the former are embodied in a society which is organized according to the principle of capitalist economy. Now, we are hearing here in a social context. The crucial contrast is between Western and Soviet type. In a state, because of there is ideological difference between the Western and Soviet type systems, insofar as the former are embodied in society which is organized according to the principle of capitalist economy. While in latter case, the protective resources of the society are owned and controlled by the state. In and the here there is a sign and indication of the Soviet type system because because all the protective resources of society are owned and controlled by the state. To start with, the state is not the same as the government. Here, if we say that state is not the same as the government, it is rather a complex of various elements of which the government is only one. In Western type liberal democratic state, those who form the government are indeed with the state power. They speak in the name of the state and take office in order to control the levers of the state power. Nevertheless, to change the metaphor, the house of the state has many mansions, and of those, the government occupies one. Here, this is we are giving that the Western type liberal democratic state and the USSR, this is ideological difference that they think about difference from the state. This is that the house of the state has many mansions, and on end of those, the government occupies one. Ralph Miliband's view on the state. Now we are going to think about the thinkers, what they have given the statement related to the state. Rolf Miliband's State in Capitalist Society. They have written this book, State in Capitalist Society. Ralph Miliband registers those different elements which together constitute the state. The first, but by no means the only element of the state apparatus is the government. This is also here, think it is good that no means the only element of the state apparatus that is government. The second is the administrative element, the civil services or the bureaucracy. Here, the state in the capitalist society we are discussing here, according to Ralph Miliband. What he thinks about that? The first, the element of state apparatus is the government, and the second is administrative element. The civil service or the bureaucracy. This administrative executive is in liberal democratic system, supposed to be neutral, carrying out the orders of politicians who are in power. In fact, however, the bureaucracy may well have its own authority and dispose of its own power. Third, in militants list come to the military and the police. And thirdly, because there is three type there the militant has given. Third, in militants list come to the military and the police. The order maintaining or the repressive arm of the state force the judiciary. The Ralph Miliband has given the views on the state. First is the government, second is administrative system, third is military and police, the order maintaining, and the repressive arm of the state, and the fourth, the judiciary. There are four types he has given. The relationship between the central and the local government may become an important political issue, as witnessed by the controversy in British politics over the abolition of Greater London Council and the metropolitan countries. Now, here what he wants to say that central and the local government may become an important political issue, as witnesses by the controversy in the British politics over the abolition of Greater London Council and the metropolitan countries. The argument about financially local government, rate capping, and so on. Sixth and the final one can add to the list representative assemblies and the parliament in the British system. One may also mention political parties, though they are not normally part of the state apparatus. Act list not in all liberal democracy. Here, Rolf Miliband has given I think seven type of kinds of state that they have to do. As first is I am telling you again that state as a government as a apparatus of state. Second is administrative, executive, and civil services. Liberal democratic system in liberal democratic system. Third is military and the police, and next is the judiciary, and next is political parties, and liberal and we can say they though they are not normally part of the state apparatus, at least in liberal democracy. So there are many we can say kinds he has given for maintaining a state system. The state had comes to acquire its present character through a historical process that extends to thousands of years. Historical advances. In the process of historical evolution of state, there have been following forms: tribal state, Oriental Empire, Greek city-state, Roman world empire, feudal state, and the modern nation state. If we say the state has different type of forms according to the historical process that extend to thousands of years, it is interplay of various factors like religion, like kinship, as because of thousands of years they have got the historical process, they have got the experiences, they have the cultural aspects related to religion, kinship, war, property, political consciousness, and technological advances. Because if we say that state has multiple thousand of years experiences, so all of these factors automatically be engaged in the state. In the process of historical evolution of a state, there have been following forms: If we say the historical evolution of a state, that what will happen there from the starting tribal state, Oriental Empire, Greek city state, Roman world empire, feudal state, and modern nation state. This is the historical evolution of the state has been given here. If we say that in the starting tribal state, we have seen Oriental Empire, we have seen Greek. After that, Greek city state has come. After that, Roman world empire has come. After that, feudal state has come into our knowledge, and after that, the modern state we are now living in this state. The liberal perspective is dynamic as it has changed with the time, depending on interest and needs of individual and the society. Here is a word liberal. Liberal word what think and what gives. What do you think about the liberal? We have to be some liberal. We have to some polite. So liberal perspective is dynamic as it has changed with the time depending on interest and needs of the individual in the society. Because if we say we have started a liberal democratic perspective in society, in a Greek city state we can say tribal city state we can say, as in the starting we have given the state a form that is liberal, but after the timings it has changed, and depending on the interest and the needs of the individual in the society, this liberal word has become changed. The early liberal view of state was negative. Liberalism is associated with welfare state, which tries to reconcile individual liberty with social good. Again, we have seen the liberal view of state in 20th century. Liberalism that has converted liberal to liberalism is associated with the welfare state, which tries to reconcile individual liberty with social good. They have given the individual liberty. There is a change here that tries to reconcile individual liberty with social good, because of liberty with linked up with the social good, and social good is connected with the liberty, and the individual liberty is the main thing that is related to the 20th century liberalism. The Marxist notion rejects liberal idea of the state. Now again a new ideology has changed the society's liberalism aspect, that is Marxist ideology and notion rejects liberal idea as a state, calling the state as an instrument of the class, and seeks to establish a classless and stateless society through the proletarian revolution. What he says, that Marx wants to, that he rejects the liberal idea of a state, calling the state, and because he wants that state as an instrument of class and seeks to establish a classless and stateless. This is the main focus here of the Marxist notion, that is classless and stateless society, by which through the proletarian revolution. However, that didn't happen after the Russian Revolution in Russia, and instead of classless and stateless society. He has given a, we can say, opinion, and given a we can say his opinion about that he wants to stable a classless and stateless society, but that has not happened. This dream cannot be fulfilled because Russian revolution in Russia, and instead of classless, and there has remained happened a revolution, that is Russian revolution, but they have not based on classless and stateless society. The study of politics is vitally concerned with the relationship of state and society. Yes, as we have seen, without a state and society, without society, state cannot be considered. And this is, if we want to study the politics, so this is the all the relationship of state and society. A state-centered perspective on politics does not imply that its study should neglect what happened in the wider sphere of society and how that may, as Weber says, influence the distribution of power. Yes, because of, if you want to distribute the power, you have to influence first. You have to give the influence. You have to show. You have to give the. We can say you have to show about the influence that this distribution of power is necessary for the society. The modern state requires an increasingly complex bureaucracy dealing with a mounting variety of tasks. It needs larger and more sophisticated armed forces, more regulative welfare agencies, and engage in a wider range of activities than was the case before. This extension of state sphere of action, its growth and development, applies both the liberal democratic system in their capitalist socio-economic context and to socialist system with their collective economic framework. The modern state requires, here we want to say, according to Weber, influence the distribution of power. The modern state requires an increasingly complex bureaucracy dealing with a mounting variety of tasks. It needs larger and more sophisticated armed forces, more regulative welfare agencies, and engage in a wider range of activities than was the case before. This extension of the state sphere of action, because of its growth and development, applies both to liberal and democratic system. Marx wrote in 18th Brumaire of Louis Bonaparte. Marx has written this, that about the growth of the state power in France, which he saw as typical of the modern state. He described how through socialism, eventually the state would be abolished and society would govern itself without a specialized apparatus of repression. How he want to that growth of the state will be happen. So he has given his idea and opinion that growth of state power in France, which he saw as a typical of the modern state. He described how through socialism, eventually the state would be abolished and society would govern itself without a specialized apparatus of repression. Weber, on the contrary, believed that socialism would need even more officials to administer a collectivized economy and society. The legitimate use of power. Here, which type of power they want to say here? The legitimate use of power, that is related to legal, that is related to the constitution, that is related to the legalized, that which type of power we can say, that is legitimate use of power. The point is that although the state depends on force, it does not rest on force alone. This is also correct here, that the rest of the force alone, this is not clear here, that state depend on the force, but rest on the force alone, it is not possible. Here the notion of the legitimate use of powers comes in power. power in general, and so the power of the state can be exercised in different ways. Coercion is one form of power and perhaps the easiest to understand. But it is not the only one. Not all power relations are to be understood on the basis of the same crude model. Here, not all power relations are to be understood on the basis of the same crude model. If a lecturer, through force of argument and breadth of knowledge, helps student to form their ideas, such a person exercises a kind of power, though not against the student will. More to the point, it holds all holders of power try to get those who are subject to their rule to believe in the rightness and justness of the power they wield. So legitimate use of power is depend on that there is no one thing that we have to apply by the force, because of there are many modes of power that is not depend on the force. Max Weber, what the Max Weber think about the legitimation? Max Weber legitimation. According to Weber, there are three types of legitimation. Three more methods by which the yielding of power can be justified. First type pertains to traditional domination. Yes, that traditional domination. What the first time pertains to the traditional domination. Domination. Their power is justified because the holders of power can appeal to tradition and habit. Authority has people obey the power holder because of the exceptional personal qualities displayed by the leaders. And third type of legal rational kind. People obey certain persons who are authorized by the specific rules to command in strictly defined spheres of actions. So there are the three types Max Weber and given here that that type of legitimation will be good, will remain good, as one is traditional domination and the second is charismatic legitimation and the third type is legal rational kind. Legal rational kind, what will happen in this? How they will do? People always certain person who are authorized by specific rules to the command in a strictly to find spheres of action. They will define the spheres of action by these all actions. And second is here charismatic legitimation. As usually, how they will do? People obey the power holder because of the exceptional personal qualities. And next is here. First, this is traditional domination because of power is justified because the holders of power can appeal to the tradition and habit. It is obvious that the power holders in any system will wish to have their power accepted as legitimate. Seen from their point of view, such an acceptance will permit a considerable economy in the use of force. People will obey freely and voluntarily. The means of coercion then will not need to be constantly displayed. They can rather be concentrated on those who do not accept the legitimacy of the power structure in any political system. There will be those who cover the stability of any political system is enhanced to the degree that people voluntarily obey the rules or law because they accept the legitimacy of the established order. What is here that any political system The stability of any system, political system, enhanced to the degree that people voluntarily obey the rules or laws because they accept the legitimacy. Here the word legitimacy is used, has been used, because the people accept the legitimacy of the established order. And here the power holder in any system will wish to have their power accepted as legitimate, because the power holders want that their power should be accepted by the crowd, by the persons, by the individuals, and by the society as legitimate, seen from their point of view. Such an acceptance will permit a considerable economy, because their acceptance, after that that permit a considerable economy in the use of force. People will obey freely and voluntarily. The means of coercion then will not need to be constantly displayed. They can rather be concentrated on those who do not accept the legitimacy of the power structure in any political system. Then will not need to be constantly displayed. Those who do not accept the legitimacy of the power structure in any political system. Now there is delegitimation. This explains why revolution is often preceded by a period when the dominating ideas of the system are subjected to sustained criticism. One may call this process delegitimation, whereby the ideas which justify the existing structure of the power come under attack. Long before the fall of the instant regime in France, the ideas of divine right and the autocracy were ridiculed and refuted by the philosophers. The critics of the absolute state, a case in point in modern times would be fate of Weimar Republic, when large section of the German population lost confidence in the democratic regime and fearing a communist alternative, gave their support to Hitler's Nationalist Socialist Party. The result was the fall of the republic without much of a struggle. Many Western systems of liberal democracy were overthrown and replaced by the fascist or semi-fascist authoritarian systems as happened in Italy, Spain, and Austria and Hungary. The conclusion in a general sense must be that any system loses its stability once it's won. In normal times, processes of legitimation and delegitimation are permanent features of any political system. Today, for this is okay, and we will again continue with a new topic. For today, thank you very much. Namaskar. Jai Hind.